Well, good morning. It is the day after I have had my tests done, and I wanted to talk through about what I'm having this 24 hours from that experience. My brain is not real sharp. It's sharper than it is in some of the videos, but less sharp than I would like. I am going to be using my tenant biomodulator while I talk to you. I can tell for sure that the contrast material, which was gadolinium, has done something in my body, because when I turn this up to my usual highest setting, it the only difference in my body right now is the gadolinium is in it, and this kind of electrocuted me, like on the left side when I put it on. So I've now put it on the lowest setting, and I'm going to just go with that for right now. But I was looking up what gadolinium is. I had some reaction to the biopsy. I may have mentioned in my first video about the biopsy that I did have a kind of a quick spike in fever, and my arms got rather red. I had long sleeves on, but I could tell from my wrist and my forearm that were quite red, like sunburned red, kind of red. And I didn't have any nausea at the time, but I woke up about 5:30 this morning. It took quite a while for me to get to sleep. I'm in a hotel. All of the lights are totally blue light, like they're it could not be bluer light in that lamp. Um, so I so I didn't get to sleep early at all, but I probably turned things all the way off around 1 or 2, and woke up, a zillion times. But then I woke up about 5:30 and got up to go to the restroom, and then found that I was so nauseated, I thought that I was going to vomit. And so I tried to see what I had in the hotel room. I thought, well, was it something I ate? Well, probably not. I mean, I did have more protein bars than usual yesterday, just because I traveled with them, and I worked up kind of an appetite from the tests that I did. I had had a hamburger on the way up from a pretty decent place, so I had eaten pretty well in terms of kind of protein and minerals yesterday, and I think that's why I had some more energy than usual last night. But and then I had some juice. I brought juice with me, and I had the protein bars and some citrus fruit that I brought. And so hadn't eaten super weird, but a little bit weird. And but the nausea didn't seem to be about that. I stopped moving quickly enough that I did not vomit, but I was sitting on the bathroom floor for a little while and drinking my water. So that's something. I did bring charcoal with me, but I'll tell you something that I've never done before is use my first aid charcoal for ingestion. I use it topically, and I had been told by my charcoal experts that that you want coconut charcoal if you're going to drink it, because it's got so much more, I think like 11 times more surface area that it can bind things for you. Well, I only brought this one. I didn't bring that. I was thinking about the topical needs that I was going to have on my biopsy wounds, and so I thought, well, let me just bring that, and then and then I'll also have some after the contrast MRI thing. And so I did drink that, but it basically tastes like 1/11 of the amount that I would usually have. I have about a tablespoon in here. It tastes very, very weak to me. So now I understand what they mean um, about that. And now I understand why the one that you ingest is really bad to put on your skin, because it really just grabs onto everything and it just won't get off your skin. So, um, but I mention that because if I were to make a recommendation for someone who's traveling and doing any kind of medical travel, I would say take the coconut charcoal with you. That's not to say don't also make the paste. That's just a little bit of water and the topical charcoal, but definitely take the coconut kind with you. So I wish I had done that. In the meantime, I am trying to reset my polarities here, and I read up on the gadolinium. They did give me a straight answer about what kind of contrast they were using. They said, "Oh yeah, it's no big deal," which of course is nonsense usually. But when I looked up what gadolinium is, it became clear how much nonsense it was. Um, so gadolinium, according to Wikipedia, it looks like silver or mercury. It's a silvery element. Um, what what it says in Wikipedia is it's a silvery white metal when oxidation is removed. Um, um, Meaning when the gadolinium is not oxidized or in its pure form. It's malleable and a rare earth element, but it is a metal, right? Metal is very hard to get out of the body, unless it's something really necessary that we need for that moment. Um, well, okay, gadolinium ions in water-soluble salts are highly toxic to mammals. Well, that sure seems like me. Um, chelated gadolinium compounds prevent it from being exposed to the organism, and the majority is excreted by a healthy kidney before it can deposit into tissues. Well, they do ask you about your kidneys when you're there, but it's not like any of us have healthy kidneys at this point, really, given the food supply. So this first 24 hours, I think, is pretty critical, and I definitely wish I had my coconut charcoal with me. There is a Whole Foods nearby, and although I don't go to Whole Foods anymore since Amazon bought them because they truly have become just absolute trash of a supplier for anything, and never mind, Jeff Bezos sure doesn't need my money. I probably will go over there and get some iodine and get some coconut charcoal if they have it, and just get that into me as much as my body will do today. I was planning on swimming today at the hotel since there's a pool, and that's kind of the one sort of exercise that's well indicated for my conditions. But then I realized I've got the biopsy wounds and I can't be in the water right now, so that'll have to wait for another time. I did try to get some medicine from my doctor last night or before I left his office, for kind of my nerve jangling that just being there for several hours had done. And he said he would come talk to me about it in 5 minutes, but it took him longer with the patient he was with. And so I had to go ahead and go. It was already getting to be rush hour. And I learned last time I was there how bad rush hour is from his place. So when I looked up in my Andy Cutler chelation group about gadolinium, it was very serious for a lot of people. There was not a clear answer on how to chelate it. Andy Cutler flip flopped a little bit on it, and it wasn't his main focus. And when you get into stuff that's not his main focus, stuff gets a little sketchier. The stuff that's his main focus is where you want to take his advice from usually. So it's not clear how to chelate it, which means that you basically have 24 hours to get it out of you. So that means I need to be pretty diligent, probably, about getting it out of here. It is rush hour now, and the sun is coming up. So I'll work on that later. Now, I'm going to remove this. What I've also had um, a good bit of the evening, I sort of don't even remember when it started now, but I've had this ache kind of here. Okay. So I'm definitely going to do my vagus nerve treatment today. I'm glad I didn't do it for the week before my tests because the um, the carotid ultrasound measures. It's looking for like microclots and different things um, that will give you kind of reasons for that dizziness, that a lot of the issues that you would see with a vagus nerve problem. Um, so I was glad to not interfere with that by, you know, regulating it before we test a baseline. So I'm going to do this now while I'm talking to you. But the gadolinium is very strong. Just the fact that I electrocuted myself just by having it in my body right now concerns me. And I was not going to do any treatment or intervention before I go to the new neurologist tomorrow. But I think, time is of the essence when you're trying to make sure that heavy metals don't get stuck in your body. And when I read the chelation group inputs from people, um, it's pretty serious, the things that people have happening, and their chelation gets a lot harder. Well, my chelation is already difficult, so I can't really have it be harder and me still do it. Um, I am going to see if I can increase the power load here. Yeah, I am feeling that though. It's still on the first 20% of the settings, but um, so then this morning, thankfully, realizing that I was real nauseated around 5:45, I and I checked it was still very dark outside, so I had no idea what time it was, but it was close enough to the time that I could get breakfast at the hotel. So I went downstairs and I was hoping just, maybe they'll have some Cheerios, just something kind of bland that wouldn't have a lot of weird stuff in it. So the closest I could get was they had some Raisin Bran. I got some yogurt for if I need it later. Um, and then they had some little clementines that were nice. So I took some of those. I don't usually eat them if they're not organic, but you have to just take what's there sometimes. I also had a little bit of bacon and did pretty well with that, and so I had some more and had a little bit of egg. Now I know that you know eggs that are processed and that I'm getting in a hotel are not are not what I need in general, but I wanted to make sure I could at least get some protein and like not from my protein bar. So um, okay, I did that. That's a little sensitive over there, so I'm gonna move this over here now. And again, this is to stimulate the vagus nerve, and this should help my digestion too. My digestion actually was really good yesterday for who knows why. Um, it shouldn't have been. I had a bunch of citrus fruit and protein bars and a hamburger, but it was. So let's see. It looks like it's an electrolyte in fuel cells. Okay, that's shouldn't have anything to do with us. So, but I know that gadolinium is definitely a mercury item. Um, it it does have a hazard statement to it. I need to do a little more reading on it. If I don't, um, it doesn't make me too sad and freaked out. Again, I was planning on having a pretty low key day today, going swimming, trying to go to one of the local big parks for a walk. Um, I do want to make sure I keep moving as much as I can, because part of the reason I woke up was because I did have some, I think I had some updated bleeding in the biopsy areas. In both spots, there's just a little bit of spotting on the bandage that seems newer. Um, So I don't know that for sure, but it seems like that. And when I woke up in the night, I was laying on that leg, on the spots. And, that's the problem. Anesthetic, when you can't feel it, you can't remember to stay off of it. So um, it does say on Wikipedia too that gadolinium has no known native biological role. Okay. Um, so hopefully, um, that will mean that if I can get some charcoal in me, I will be okay from the gadolinium, and it will not be able to settle in, because it will be recognized as a synthetic, and then the charcoal will grab it and get it out of there. So I will, I'll make some more videos if I can on this, because I sure didn't know anything about this when I went into it. They also refer to it as GBCA. So if you're getting an MRI and you ask about what that is, gadolinium-based contrast agent is GBCA. Um, and so that's something to keep in mind. There is, let's see, it says MRI GBCAs do not readily cross cellular membranes, are avid extracellular space markers, and are thought to enter the brain from the blood by diffusive transport. Okay, so although it is widely believed that the MRI GBCAs do not cross the brain barrier under homeostatic conditions, there is substantial evidence that they do, albeit with a very small volume transfer rate constants. And that's a notation from 2020, so pretty recent. And you can check that out on Wikipedia if you want. I'm going to just notate here that in using this over here, it is getting like just a tiny bit toward the staticky point. Again, I was absolutely not going to use this except in case of, a situation, because I am going to a new neurologist tomorrow, and I didn't want to mask any regular symptoms or forget any regular symptoms. But at this point, it's important that there could be longer term effects if I don't do some intervening now. We don't want any more long term effects, goodness knows. So if you are not familiar with the chelation group that I mentioned, I do recommend it. It's the Andy Cutler chelation protocol group, and you can learn more just by keying in gadolinium. If you want to join that group, you will need some interest in mercury in order to join the group, because it's very particular about that. But as long as you're willing to do the work to educate yourself and go through the files and engage the protocol to some degree, certainly learn about it. You'd also have access to learn some about how it operates with gadolinium. The only reason I'm not pursuing going into a gadolinium specific group right now is because I find so much misinformation on chelation outside of the Andy Cutler group that I don't feel confident in any other group at this stage. And there's stuff about that group that I don't feel confident about, but it's certainly the most rigorous and seems to be the most unified group in terms of the research that's gone in and so forth. So that's what I have for now. Hopefully YouTube won't erase this, because sometimes when I make a video it just doesn't take it. I wish I could give you a nicer background, since I am in a hotel and it is very grown up looking, but I'm in bed, as I often am. So I hope this will be helpful to somebody at some point here.